What's going on, guys? Gary with Rast Group, back with another video. Today it's going to be kind of a quick, simple video, but I get a lot of questions as far as, okay, I'm dry firing, I have my gun, you talk about proper dry fire, what does proper dry fire mean? Well, let's start with grip, since we just literally did a video on it. I'll tell you what I look for. And it's pretty simple. I want to have varying levels of how I pull the trigger from prepped to pretty aggressive, and look for a minimal disruption in my sights as possible. Okay, I'm prepped, I'm right to my wall, I'm gonna press out, I have my dot. Cool. I broke through it, I'm gonna dim this down just a little bit. So coming in, I have this dimmed, I'm gonna look for where my dot goes. Absolutely nothing. Prepped again. And then what I'm doing is, I can start by pulling the trigger relatively slow, but what I should be doing is trying to pull the trigger a little bit more aggressively, even from that prepped position as I go. So I'm here prepped and smash. Prepped and smash. Okay, so my dot's not doing anything. So now what I'm gonna do is, instead of starting with my finger prepped, I'm going to start with it just making contact with the trigger. So a little bit more violent of a trigger pull, right? So I have prepped, back it off, I'm making contact, and cool, all right, prepped. Okay, had a little bit of input right there at the end, contact, and contact. Perfect, okay? Now, I think that's about as practical as you can go as far as manipulating the trigger to try to get a sight disruption. If you're really hell-bent for Lent and you really want to push the envelope of your grip, you can go from contact to the trigger to finger on the front of the trigger guard. I don't think that's really applicable or practical for somebody that's really looking to you know, chase that practical skill. But if you're in your fundamental stages and you really want to find a way to test yourself, I can come here, boom, and smash. And I have a little bit of more dot disruption than what I did previously. Boom, and smash. Boom, and smash. So, and I'm gonna play that game. If you want to test that even further, you can try coming from completely index outside the trigger guard. Guys, I don't think this is nearly practical or applicable. I think as it's more applicable to train, you know, on your draw to start indexing into your trigger guard and prepping your trigger as you start to orient that muzzle towards target. There is a right way and a wrong way to do that, just to be clear. So, but if you really want to try it just to see what happens, I mean, you can. I just do not think this is very applicable. So you can start from here and you can play that game all you want. So that's the first dry fire thing I do. It's actually called trigger control at speed. It's a great drill to work. You can work at dry fire, you can work at live fire. Dry fire, I'm looking for dot disruption. Still maintaining target focus, but I'm aware of the dot, right? Like, I'm aware of where that dot is going up, down, side to side. What is my grip doing to my sights as I'm pulling that trigger, or what is my trigger pull doing to my grip as I pull that trigger? I really like to do is, let's say that I don't have a trigger that, you know, resets like the Timney does. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get one good rep of coming up, prepping my trigger, there it is, boom, and then I'm gonna mash this dead trigger. And then what I wanna do is try to have a small point of reference, like a 1-inch paster, right? I don't have any black ones laying around, but, you know, just a roll of pasters. Right now I'm about, I don't know, 8 yards out from a target I have on the wall here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get that first initial actual trigger break, and then I'm going to mash that dead trigger. It doesn't even have to be a trigger that resets, right? If it does this, bonus. But I don't need that. What I do want to do is I want to try to mash that relatively aggressively, and I want to pay attention to what my dot's doing. Is it staying in a pattern? Is it randomly getting dragged off one side or the other? Is my grip, are my shoulders starting to tense up while I'm doing this? What's happening when I'm trying to simulate multiple shots in dry fire, right? So I'm coming out, boom, I get that first initial one, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to pull the trigger as fast and aggressively as I can but maintain my dot on that small point of reference through focus and through a steady grip. One of the fundamentals, that's great. But once you start getting into a level of performance, it's really important that you start looking at and diagnosing these small little details in your own shooting, your own ability, your own habits, because the more you shoot, the more individualized it's going to get for you, right? As a broad stroke, everybody learns the 4 firearm safety fundamentals. It's where everybody starts. But as each person goes further, some people don't, right? Some of the biggest names in the teaching community don't really compete or take classes or say they do and they don't, whatever. But as you go further for your own personal progression, you're going to notice like, hey, like, you know, I feel really comfortable in transitioning targets, but I'm still noticing some over-confirmation off the draw on that initial target, right? Or vice versa, whatever. But you'll start to notice these very specific things about yourself, and that's where you need to make notes. I make notes about my dry fire. I think everybody should. Never a waste of time, right? But that's your quick video for today. Or this week, I should say. There will be a blog post to go along with it. Not a super long video, but this might be one of the more beneficial ones I've ever done. So, guys, any questions, by any means, hit me up on the Instagrams, the emails, all that stuff. You guys stay safe, stay trained, stay rad. I'll be back with the next one.